Hey there, friends. I'm Eliza Bennett, 32, standing in my grandmother's sprawling mansion in Boston, surrounded by relatives who think they know me. Picture me in my simple navy blazer, modest pearl earrings glinting under the chandelier light, while my cousins drip in designer labels and Rolexes. Their whispers about my struggles sting. But I've been building something they can't even imagine. Before I dive into this story, I'd love to know where you're joining me from. Drop your location in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, and stick around to see how I turn the tables on my obsessed family. This is the story of how I showed them what real wealth looks like. I pulled into the circular driveway of Grandma Elizabeth's mansion on a crisp Friday afternoon, my 10-year-old Toyota looking like a stray dog among the gleaming pack of luxury cars. Brad's Maserati sat smugly by the front steps, Aunt Catherine's Mercedes SUV sparkled next to Uncle Richard's Bentley, and Victoria's BMW convertible screamed money. My car, reliable as ever, found a spot between Blake's Range Rover and Jessica's Audi, looking as out of place as I felt. The mansion stood as it always had, 3 stories of elegant Georgian brick, white columns framing the entrance, and 4 acres of manicured gardens stretching into the distance. This place was my sanctuary after I lost my parents at 15, but now it was a battleground where my family's wealth, flaunting rituals played out every year at our annual conference. I smoothed my Banana Republic blazer, checked my minimal makeup in the rearview mirror, and took a deep breath. In my briefcase was something they'd never expect. But I wasn't ready to show my hand just yet. The Bennetts have been Boston real estate royalty since the 1920s, when my great-grandfather turned a modest inheritance into a budding empire during the post-war boom. By the 1970s, Grandma Elizabeth had taken the reins, transforming the family name into a synonym for luxury properties across New England. Unlike her brothers, who chased flash, she believed wealth should be quiet, purposeful. A tool, not a trophy. My father, her youngest, shared her philosophy. He married my mother, a kindergarten teacher with no pedigree, causing a scandal among the status-conscious Bennetts. They chose a modest life in a small suburb, where Dad designed homes for love, not status, and Mom taught kids to read. They taught me money was for security and opportunity, not showing off. When I was 15, a car accident stole them both, and my world shattered. Grandma Elizabeth took me in, while my aunts and uncles whispered I'd become the family's charity case. In her study, surrounded by old photo albums and property portfolios, she'd say, "Eliza, most of this family has forgotten what wealth is for. They think it's about display, but real wealth is invisible: security, opportunity, power to change things." Over 3 years, she taught me to read market trends, spot undervalued properties, and above all, be patient. My cousins, Brad, Victoria, Taylor, Jessica, and Blake, grew up differently. Uncle Richard, who became patriarch after Grandpa died, preached conspicuous consumption. His kids got sports cars at 16, luxury vacations every break, and designer wardrobes. I drove my parents' old Toyota, worked part-time, and invested every spare penny. When Grandma passed during my senior year of college, she left each grandchild a modest inheritance. My cousins spent theirs on condos, trips, or, in Blake's case, a yacht he barely uses. I followed Grandma's advice, lived simply, rented a small apartment, and invested in overlooked properties in up-and-coming neighborhoods. The family conference, once Grandma's way to foster unity, had become Uncle Richard's stage for status competitions: whose portfolio was biggest, whose car was flashiest, whose career was most prestigious. I showed up each year in modest clothes, gave vague updates, and endured their pity. What they didn't know was that by my 28th birthday, I owned 12 residential properties and 3 commercial buildings, all through anonymous LLCs guided by Grandma's lawyer, Mr. Winters. Last year, I learned the luxury apartment complex where Victoria, Blake, and 3 other relatives lived was for sale. I bought it for $28 million, nearly all my liquid capital, keeping my ownership secret. I made subtle improvements, raised rents slightly, still below market, and watched its value climb. Now, as I stood in the mansion's foyer, I'd learned Uncle Richard planned to sell this house, the heart of Grandma's legacy. My family, oblivious, was about to get a wake-up call. Martha, the housekeeper who'd served us for 30 years, greeted me with a hug that smelled of lemon polish and cinnamon. "Miss Eliza, you look more like your grandmother every year," she said, her eyes warm. "Thanks, Martha. You're still the best welcome committee." I smiled, feeling a flicker of comfort. She leaned in, whispering, "Mr. Richard's been here since morning? Meeting with the family attorney. Big plans this weekend." Her words confirmed my suspicions about the mansion sale. Martha helped me carry my bag to my old room, unchanged since my teenage years: pale blue walls, white furniture, a window seat overlooking Grandma's rose garden. The bookshelf held my old finance textbooks, novels, and a notebook where Grandma taught me to track stocks. A framed photo of my parents and me at Cape Cod sat beside it, a reminder of what I'd lost and what I'd built. As I unpacked, Jessica knocked and leaned against the doorframe, her designer jeans and cashmere sweater a contrast to my simple outfit. Thought I heard you arrive, she said, her smile genuine. Unlike our cousins, Jessica, a pediatrician, had built her own career, though she still lived the family's luxurious lifestyle. I wanted to warn you. Uncle Richard's pushing to sell the mansion. He's got the votes lined up. My stomach sank. This place is our heritage. Grandma would never have wanted that. Jessica nodded. He's talking about unlocking property value. Votes are weighted by holdings, so he controls it. Property talks tomorrow. Financial reviews Sunday, vote Monday. Developers are presenting condo plans. This place isn't just a building, I said, my voice tight. It's Grandma's wisdom. Her values? I know, Jessica said, squeezing my hand. I'll back you, but it'll be tough. Victoria's already asked if the poor cousin is here yet. I forced a smile. Wouldn't want to disappoint her. After Jessica left, I sat on the window seat, staring at the rose garden. I'd come with a plan, but the stakes felt higher now. This wasn't just about proving myself. It was about saving the last physical piece of Grandma's legacy. Dinner that evening was a masterclass in Bennett family excess. Crystal glasses clinked, fine china gleamed, and conversation revolved around achievements. Uncle Richard held court at Grandma's old seat, swirling his 30-year-old scotch. My latest development sold out before construction finished, he boasted. Had to turn away buyers. Aunt Catherine chimed in about her charity gala, raising 100,000 more than last year, then added, I didn't see Eliza's name on any donor lists this year. Her tone was syrupy with pity. Brad, now a VP at Richard's company through nepotism, steered the talk to his Maserati. 9-month waiting list, but they expedited for the Bennett name. He smirked at me. What are you driving these days, Eliza? Still that Toyota? I sipped my water. Still serving me well. Patricia, Richard's wife, made a sympathetic noise. Dear, if you'd let Richard mentor you, you could upgrade your lifestyle. I bit back a retort about my investments outperforming hers. I'm comfortable with my choices. The digs continued. References to exclusive clubs I didn't join, vacation homes I didn't own, private schools I couldn't offered. I kept my composure, clinging to the hope that revealing my truth might bridge the gap between us. After dinner, I wandered to Grandma's rose garden, now lit by soft lights. Standing among her flowers, I resolved to fight for her legacy, even if it meant showing my cards. Saturday morning's conference began in the grand drawing room, where family portraits had been replaced with architectural renderings of condos. Richard stood by a projector, my cousins in antique chairs and developers in the back. Eliza, good of you to join us, he said as I slipped beside Jessica, his tone implying I was late despite being early. He launched into a presentation on family image and standards, pacing in Italian leather shoes. The Bennett name opens doors, but only if we maintain standards. His gaze lingered on my simple blouse. After touting his projects, he displayed a slide of the mansion valued at $45 million. It's sentimental, but it's prime real estate. Aunt Victoria raised her hand. Some might be attached to the old house, she said, smiling at me without warmth. Eliza, you lived here, but sentimentality can't outweigh financial sense. Before I could respond, Blake cut in. Speaking of financial sense, have you seen my new SL Roadster? Limited edition. Only 20 in North America, Richard nodded. That's the kind of statement that reinforces our position. He outlined selling the mansion for condos, with developers passing out glossy brochures. The ROI is substantial. Questions before we vote, I raised my hand. We should consider Grandma's wishes. She wanted this house preserved as our family's anchor. Not everything is about ROI. Richard's smile tightened. The market's changed since Elizabeth's time. Aunt Catherine tittered. With your limited real estate experience, Eliza, perhaps this isn't your area. I've analyzed the trends, I persisted. This location's historic value outweighs another half-empty condo project like Westbrook last year. Brad laughed. Analysis. You're still renting that tiny apartment, right? But choice? I said, heat rising to my cheeks. Sure, Brad said. Like my Maserati's a choice, not a necessity. Latter followed. The preliminary vote favored selling, with only Jessica and me opposed. At lunch, I sat in the garden, fighting tears. Jessica found me. They're snobs, she said. I admire how you've charted your path. They've never asked what I do, I said. They just assume I'm failing. Tomorrow's financial reviews will be worse, she warned. Richard loves showcasing who contributes most to family prestige. That evening, dinner buzzed with condo amenity debates, infinity pools vs rooftop gardens. I listened, the divide between my values and theirs growing clearer. I wondered if there was a way to bridge it or if I even wanted to try. Sunday's session in the drawing room was formal, with a mahogany table and leather portfolios. Richard distributed spreadsheets showing voting shares, his 38%, my 2%. He proposed tweaking Grandma's will to consolidate power, a move that favored the wealthiest. I noted every change, knowing I'd need Mr. Winter's advice. Brad presented first, boasting about his VP bonuses and Aspen vacation home. Blake talked tech investments and his graded yacht. Victoria flaunted her art collection and private school connections. Each got nods and questions, while Taylor's staffing woes for her 3 homes prompted Aunt Catherine's agency contacts. The luxury apartment complex came up. The amenities are top-notch, Victoria said, but the lobby renovations are disruptive. Blake nodded. And the rent hike. Who do they think we are? Brad leaned in. No one knows who owns it now. Some holding company bought it last year. Mysterious. Richard tapped his pen. What could pressure them through city connections? Make ownership uncomfortable. My heart raced, but I stayed neutral, knowing I was the mysterious owner they wanted to bully. When my turn came, I gave my vague consulting update. Brad checked his phone, Victoria whispered, and Richard tapped his pen impatiently. Aunt Catherine sighed. Eliza, isn't it time for a career change? The Bennett name should mean something. Brad smirked. Maybe she needs to marry well. Laughter erupted. Richard proposed a family assistance stipend for me, the humiliation nearly unbearable. I thanked him politely and excused myself, hands trembling as I reached my room. Alone. I let tears fall, not from financial insecurity but from their refusal to see me. I called Mr. Winters. They're changing Grandma's will and planning to pressure the apartment complex owner, I said. He chuckled. Your ownership's secure. What now? Send my full portfolio documentation, I said. It's time. You sure? He asked. No going back, I'm sure, I said, resolve hardening. They've underestimated me for the last time. A Monday dawned clear. I wore a tailored charcoal suit and my mother's pearl earrings, with a touch of red lipstick, war paint for the battle. In the library, Richard outlined the mansion sale and apartment complex pressure tactics. The developers offer $48 million, he said, passing out contracts. And we've drafted a letter to the complex owner suggesting code reviews unless they sell. I stood, voice steady. Before we proceed, I'd like the floor for a presentation. Richard checked his watch. We're on a tight schedule, Eliza. This won't take long, I said, moving to the front. For years, I've heard I'm the poor relation. Today, I'll update your data. I handed my valuation to the assistant, and $73 million flashed on the screen. Silence. Victoria's fingers stilled. No mistake, I said, distributing my financials. While you bought sports cars, I built a portfolio outperforming most of yours. I placed the apartment complex deed before Victoria. You're my tenants. Chaos erupted. Blake's glass spilled. Brad sputtered. Richard, gray-faced, flipped through my documents. How? He asked. With Grandma's principles, I said. Patience, research, substance over status. I revealed Elizabeth's legacy trust, controlling 35% of family holdings via Jenkins Development. Enough to block the mansion sale. Jessica clapped slowly. Well played, cousin.